At the age of 27, I was promoted to site commander and put in charge of, at that time, 28 people on a security team in Hamilton, New Jersey. I was no longer just a technical specialist, I now had to become a leader. In talking with my security director, he said, emulate your supervisors that you had before. My supervisors that I'd had before said I needed to create my own leadership style. In doing my research, I realized that corporate leadership styles and law enforcement leadership were not going to work in my situation, as I was supervising a group of security mercenaries. So I thought to myself, who exemplifies a leader of type A personalities that are masters of niche specialties and jacks of all trades at the same time? One person stuck out in my mind. United States Navy SEAL Team Commander Richard Marcinko talked about leadership principles in his book, in his autobiography, The Rogue Warrior, which came out in 1992 from Pocket Books, and also in reading Marcinko's Leadership Secrets of the Rogue Warrior, A Commando's Guide to Success, published in 1996, and The Rogue Warrior's Strategy for Success, A Commando's Principles of Winning, published by Pocket Books in 1997. I found leadership principles that reflected what my supervisors had taught me. Marcinko states, leadership is learning how to make a decision and then sticking by it even though you are heckled, nagged, pleaded with, and cajoled to change your mind. This was in his autobiography. Now, we want to know about credibility. This stuck with me in the fact that Marcinko had learned his leadership style over 30 years in the United States Navy. That's an accomplishment in and of itself. But when we look at the fact that he was born in 1940 to parents who did not graduate from high school, he was a high school dropout, enlisted in the United States Navy in February of 1958, and in 1961 he was accepted into Basic Underwater Demolition Team Training, BUDS, for the underwater demolition teams. He graduated from there in a class that started with 121 people and finished with 24. While posted to UDT 21, he was recommended to go to officer candidate school and turned it down, saying, "Sir, I want to be a chief. They're the real movers and shakers. Plus, I'm a high school dropout." When he was transferred to UDT number 22, Command Chief Everett Barrett, to quote Marcinko, kicked him in the butt until he passed his high school equivalency exams. Barrett forced him to hone his administrative skills by making me type all of his blanking platoon reports. And he finally coaxed and cajoled and bullied and domineered and strong-armed me until I took the officer candidate school qualification test and passed. Marcinko was required to promise Barrett that he would pass on what he learned to those that followed him. He graduated officer candidate school in 1965 and was assigned to SEAL Team 2 in 1966 as a squad leader. During 2 tours of duty in Vietnam, his team accomplished numerous special operations missions behind enemy lines, and an Army advisor assigned to their team won the Medal of Honor when they rescued some nurses during the Tet Offensive in 1968. In 1973, he was assigned as the Chief Naval Attaché to the government of Cambodia in Phnom Penh. In 74 through 76, he commanded SEAL Team 2. And while stationed at the Pentagon in 1980, right after the failed rescue attempt of the hostages in Tehran, Iran by Delta Force, the military decided to create the Joint Special Operations Task Force for Counterterror Operations based out of Fort Bragg. In writing the study, Colonel Beckwith, the Delta Team commander, asked for a SEAL element. A SEAL element can be 2 squads of up to 32 people. When reading the staff study report, Marcinko, to quote his words, took some whited out element and put in command. A SEAL Team command is over 200 people. Either through tacit approval or just not noticing, the Pentagon signed off on this. At this time, there were 2 SEAL teams, SEAL Team 1 in San Diego and SEAL Team 2 in Norfolk, Virginia. There was no extra SEAL team to draw these people from. Marcinko created SEAL Team 6 and commanded it for 3 years, 1 year longer than normal. He also commanded Red Cell, which was formed in 1984. He was forced to retire in 1989, and the enemies that he had created amongst the upper echelon of the Navy while he stepped on toes as commanding Red Cell had him tried and convicted on 1 count of conspiracy for some equipment that some personnel had stolen under his command. While he was serving his time in prison, the Navy came to him and said, would you be interested in coming back on active duty to run the SEALs in Desert Storm #1? He said no, but I will come back as a civilian contractor. Upon getting out of prison 21 months later, he founded SOS Temps, which trains SWAT teams around the country, as well as Fortune 50 companies in leadership principles. He has gone on to found Red Cell International, which currently has State Department contracts around the world. He's the military spokesman for Oakley, Zodiac, as well as being a technical expert on 3 different movies. He's written 16 different books with co-authors, and he's a role model for numerous video games. What I took away from Marcinko and his experiences is that I will always lead my people from the front. I will put my people first, make sure they've got the best equipment I can provide for them, and always stay flexible.